Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Christopher Aaron. This is the iGold Advisor channel. We are going to have a gold price update. It is early on July 21st, 2025. And you know, a lot of precious metals investors consider themselves contrarians because they're thinking, well, I'm looking outside the box. You know, most people are not talking about gold and silver. My friends, my neighbors are not talking about it. Okay, you may be somewhat of a contrarian, but I'm going to challenge you to go one step further. We have gold in blue sky territory, above $3,000 per ounce, on the way to $4,000 per ounce. I want to challenge you to think about how you can buy gold for cheaper than everyone else is paying for it, and therefore capitalize on the revaluation. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. After we talk about the gold price update, I want to tell you about a company that I am investing in. It's called Sirios Resources. This is the time. They have 3 million ounces of gold already in the ground in Quebec, Canada, very politically safe. And it's trading for $5 per ounce in the ground. Now, think about this. Gold above ground is $3,350, and gold in the ground is $5. Which do you think has the better chance of doubling, tripling, quadrupling, going up 10x, 20x over the next number of years? It's not the physical gold. So here's where you have to think like a contrarian amongst the contrarians. We'll talk about that in the second part of the video. You can get free warrants with Sirios. This is a company that I'm investing in. If you join us in the private placement, the deadline for that is this Wednesday, July 23rd, to get registered for our Elite Private Placements program right here. And just to answer your questions ahead of time, no, they are not paying me. None of these companies are paying me to say this. This is entirely independent research. These are the companies that I am investing in. These are the companies that my premium subscribers are investing in alongside of me. I hope you will join us. It's up to you. Make the decision. That's what we're going to talk about today. And in case you want to see what the results are of this type of investing over the last year, here it is, guys. We have 5 winners and 0 losers over the past year, a 100% success rate. Look at the gains that we have here on the companies that we've been investing in over the course of the last year. You can see the names here. You can see the gains. It averages out to an average gain of 78.5% across each of these 5 positions. And then remember, if you join us in the private placement, you get a free 25% gain on average on every single position as well. Remember, those free warrants are what are given to you in the private placements that you don't receive if you buy the shares in the open market. So there's our success track record. That is the company that we'll talk about in the second half of the video. Contrarians amongst the contrarians is what we have to be. I'm challenging you here. Think outside the box, even amongst the gold and precious metals community. Let's talk about the gold price first. Our legal disclaimer. And we go. Here is gold over the last 10 years. Look at this textbook perfect technical action. We're talking about the 4-year consolidation here between 2020 and early 2024. That broke out. Then where did gold get to? 1, 2, 3 levels of rising resistance at 2,800. Boom, that was broken higher. That's the last visible resistance on the chart. We talk about charts here because they're the most important way to analyze a market. What is a market actually doing? That second resistance, boom, broken higher, $1,000 higher following that resistance break. Where are we now? We are in the green shaded zone. The other way that we can call this, to be a little bit colloquial, is blue sky territory. I'm using green here to catch your attention, but we call this blue sky territory. And that is an actual technical term for gold, which means There is no known resistance on the gold chart. There is no visible resistance. Let me say that again. No visible resistance on the gold chart whatsoever. So at this point, what we have here is a very healthy consolidation going on for the last 3 months above 3,200. It's creeping back up closer to the highs. I think what's getting ready to come here after, let's call it another couple weeks, maybe a month or two of consolidation, is this, the breakout from this recent consolidation. Remember, gold is in blue sky territory. That means that when we zoom the chart out, there is no human being on planet Earth who has ever lost money investing in gold as long as they held until today. And when that is the case, it means that no one has an incentive to sell. You really have to understand this. And that's why we call this blue sky territory. Gold can continue to levitate here into the sky, basically, because there are no human beings that are underwater on their gold ownership, and therefore no one has an incentive to sell. So remember, you have to think like a contrarian. Gold is in blue sky territory. You have to think like a contrarian amongst the contrarians. You know that everyone is not talking about gold here. Only a few select people are. Even amongst that community, you have to think about how to be a contrarian. And this is where we're going to talk about it. Okay, gold is above $3,000. Think about this for a moment. Do you think it's going to be easier for you to double your money by gold going from 3,000 to 6,000? I mean, that could take a few more years. Or what about the possibility of buying gold in the ground for just $5 per ounce? This is what I'm doing with my money. This is what our premium subscribers are doing. And remember, they are not paying me 1 cent to say this. This is independent research that we're going to talk about here. Let's talk about it. This company is called Sirios Resources, like the star, right? Sirios. This company is located in Quebec, Canada. Very safe domicile. And look right here. The entire valuation of the company, the market cap, is $15 million. Now do the math with me here for 1 minute. $15 million, and they have 3 million ounces of gold. 1.3 plus 1.7. 3 million ounces of gold on their official resource balance sheet. You do the math with me. 15 million market cap divided by 3 million ounces of gold is $5 USD per ounce of gold in the ground. Now, I've been doing this for almost 20 years, and you want to ask me, what were some of the normal valuations, let's say 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when gold was just breaking above 1,000, gold got to 2,000 per ounce. There was a lot of enthusiasm back in 2010 and 2011. What were normal valuations for gold in the ground back then? I will tell you a low value estimate was $25 per ounce. A fair value estimate for gold in the ground was $50 per ounce. Remember, this company is trading for $5 per ounce in the ground right now. The company has no debt. Insiders and institutions own about a third of the company. From 5 to a fair value of 50 would be a 10-fold move. That's just to get to a reasonable valuation. What about a high valuation? We could talk about $100 per ounce in the ground. That would be 20-fold. I mean, what do you think has an easier chance of rising 5 to 10-fold here? Gold in the ground at $5 per ounce, or gold above ground at 3,000, above 3,000 per ounce? It's this. The 5 here has a lot better chance of doubling, tripling, 5x, 10x than the physical gold that you can hold in your hand. That's just how it is right now. So you can sit on your physical gold and wait a number of years and, hope it goes up 10 or 20% per year, and eventually we get that doubling. Or you can try something here that is bold and try to double, triple, quadruple, 10x your money within the next couple of years based on this low valuation for Sirios. Remember, if you join us in the private placement, now this is a company that I own shares in already. And if you would like to buy shares, you can go ahead and do it on the stock exchange right now. I would suggest if you only have a few $1,000s to invest or a few $100s, that's what I would do. That's how I started my career about 20 years ago, just buying a few thousand here or there. So there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to do that, the ticker in Canada is SOI, and in the United States, it's SIREF right here. Trades on the US and the Canadian exchanges. So that's what I would do if I only had a few hundred or a few $1,000s, and I would do that as soon as possible. Wait till you see the chart. But if I was ready to invest over $10,000 Canadian, which is about 7,000 US, I would be participating in the private placement that we now have available exclusively at our service at Elite Private Placements. And the reason for that is because you get these free 2-year warrants, and you'll see the power of the warrants. The warrants give you the right to buy more shares in the future at 12 cents per share, but not the obligation. Let's talk about that a little bit later. For now, we'll focus on the absurdly low valuation. $5 per ounce in the ground. I think more reasonable is 50, 10 times the current valuation. Let's talk about what Sirios actually has in the ground. So this is Quebec, Canada, up here, one of my favorite regions in Canada. This is the flagship project that Sirios owns. It's called the Chichu Gold Project. And this is the 3 million ounces of gold already in the ground, which I think is going to be growing to closer to 5 million within the next couple years. This is the big thing. Look at the map here. Here's Chichu. Here's the visual. Right over here, just 15 kilometers away, is a large producing gold mine that is already producing over 100,000 ounces of gold per year. The Eleanor mine, it's called. And this mine was just purchased from Newmont by a private mining company, and it is the only mine that they own. So 15 kilometers away from Sirios' flagship project, the 3 million ounces here at Chichu, is a large producing gold mine that is currently producing gold at a profit. And the company that bought Eleanor, therefore, since it's their only gold mine, they have every incentive to buy Sirios here within the coming years. I think it's just a matter of time. And remember, when these companies get bought out, they almost always get bought out at a significant premium to the current share price. So that is the big investment thesis for Sirios, 15 kilometers away from a large producing gold mine. Let's go deeper. This is the news that they just released out of Sirios. Look at the update to the mineral resource estimate. This just came out 2 weeks ago. The update is that they have increased the size of the gold deposit by 50% more than it was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, this gold deposit was only 1.9 million ounces in the ground. They have increased it to a total of 3 million ounces. That is a huge jump for just 3 years. Not only that, but the grades are 19 to 38% higher. You can see that right here, a 19% increase in the open pit indicated and a 38% increase in the open pit inferred grades. Remember, inferred does not mean imaginary. It just means that the amount of drilling that they've done needs to come closer in the future, and then they will move this category from inferred up to the next category called indicated. But the total amount of gold is 1.3 and 1.7 equals 3 million ounces, 50% more than they had in 2022. The other thing is that the engineering company that gave this mineral resource estimate for Sirios has come up with a conceptual exploration target of 31 to 40 million tons of additional ore, grading between 1.2 and 1.45 grams per ton. And if you do the math, that means that Sirios is likely going to have another 1.5 million ounces of gold to add to their balance sheet about a year and a half from now when they finish the next drilling program. So we should be looking at a company that is about 4.5 to 5 million ounces of gold. Let's call it 2 years from now. That is what I'm expecting out of Sirios. And then I think it becomes an extremely attractive buyout target from the owner of that Eleanor mine just 15 kilometers away. So there it is, the future potential. Let's talk about the resource growth. Here you can see it. Over the last 6 years, 85% increase in the total gold resource. We just talked about that. And then we look at the grades increasing here. I mean, so this company is doing everything right. And it's just a matter of time before the market recognizes the value here in this deposit. We take a look at the cross-section of the deposit. And the important thing to note here is that 80% of that 3 million ounces is very easy to mine because it's located in the first 200 meters of the deposit. So very easy for an open pit type of operation. And then they have these underground solids that they're called. So these deposits that go a little bit deeper. And this is what they've just been working on for the last resource estimate. That's how they got to that 3 million ounces of gold. They calculated all these underground deposits over here in green. And then we can look at the 3D model. And the important thing here to note is that the blue, okay, the red and the orange is the existing model. The blue are the new zones that the geological engineering company has said contain an additional 31 to 40 million tons of these grades, which we calculate out to be about another 1.5 million ounces of gold. So that's how I'm coming up with the total 4.5 to 5 million ounces about 2 years from now. And you think about that, getting close to 5 million ounces in a politically safe jurisdiction, this is absolutely going to be a nice, large gold deposit in North America that is a clear buyout target. Okay, so let's talk about what Sirios has coming up. The second half of this year, what they are going to do is they are going to upgrade the road that connects from the main road where you saw that Eleanor mine to their flagship 3 million ounce deposit. They're going to upgrade the road so that next year, 2026, they can do a massive drill program. 20,000 meters is a nice large drill program for a season. And with that, they're going to release the next level of study, which is called a preliminary economic assessment. And it is my prediction, so they upgrade the road, they do the 20,000 meters next year. It is my prediction that by the end of 2026, when they come out with this PEA, that's where they're going to show 4.5 to 5 million ounces of gold. And that's when they become the buyout target by their neighbor. So that's what's coming over the course of the next 2 years. Now, let's put it to where the rubber meets the road. This is actually the most important thing, but most people generally like to understand about the nature of the investment first, but this is where it really matters. The actual price chart. Look at this. The last 10 years, look at what is happening right now. Sirios had been moving lower for the last 9 years until what? Just 4 weeks ago. It has broken decisively a 9-year downward trend. And this is where I said you have to act as a contrarian. If you already own enough physical gold and you're saying, hey, I would like to try to double, triple, quadruple, 5x, 10x, as it may be, my money, it's not going to happen from the physical gold from this point. Physical gold is already almost $3,500. But you look at where Sirios traded just a few years ago to get from the current level up to the secondary resistance here. It's challenging the initial resistance right now after breaking this 9-year downtrend. Just to get up here to the secondary resistance would be about a 5-fold, a 5x move. Remember, I said that would be a low estimate. That would be a low estimate to get to that point. That would assume $25 per ounce in the ground. I think that Sirios over the coming several years before a buyout can get back up here to where it was previously in 2016. Now, what I like about a chart like this, the reason why I own shares and I'm going to be increasing my position here in this private placement is because if you look at this chart, okay, the company's trading for 6 cents. A few years ago, it traded above $1. You look at this trading at 6 cents, it's just broke a 9-year downward trend, and you say to yourself, okay, let's imagine the worst case scenario. Let's imagine it doesn't go higher soon as I expect. From this level, what's the worst case scenario? It just drifts a little bit lower. Yeah, maybe it drifts from 6 cents back down to 5 cents or 4 cents. But I mean, this is a chart that I don't think is moving very much lower. I think this is bottomed. This is a very nice bottom looking formation. It's been moving sideways here, more of a rounded bottom for the last 2 to 3 years. It has just broken out from a 9-year downward trend. And I think we're getting ready to start a new rising trend now in Sirios. So the last thing that I want to show you today, exact same chart. I just want to pull it up twice. And I want to show you why. We talked about the 9-year downtrend. Let's look at it twice. Why are we looking at this twice? I want to show you if you are one of those higher net worth investors who can invest $10,000 Canadian at a time, in other words, about 7,000 US dollars. This is where I want to show you why I think you should join us in investing in the private placement that we have exclusive access to, because I know the management personally and we've helped them before. They give us an allotment of their private placement. Here's the difference if you buy the shares in the open market versus the private placement. Just to get back to this secondary resistance, if you buy the shares right now in the open market, that's a 317% gain. I mean, that's not bad. I would absolutely do that if I was going to invest a few hundred or a few $1,000s. But if you can afford the minimum, the 10,000 Canadian or 7,000 US, and the company gets back to that same level, you actually get more of a gain for the exact same rise in the share price. Do you see that? And the reason for that is because they give you free warrants in addition to the shares if you buy with us in the private placement. Okay, so you get more of a gain and you have no more downside risk compared to buying in the open market for the shares. If the company were to get back to where it was trading a few years ago, that would be a 2,317% gain in the open market. And if you buy with us in the private placement, it would be over a 3,000% gain. This is what I'm talking about, life-altering opportunities, guys. I'm not really in this sector to just have a double in my money over the course of the next 5 years or so. I'm in this to try to change what is possible for your life and for my life. I want you to be able to pay off your mortgage. I want you to be able to take several years off from work and do what you want. I want you to be able to retire early, pay off your car, buy a new car, and take your wife or girlfriend on the trip of her lifetime. This is what I want you to have the capacity to do. It's not going to happen waiting for physical gold to double over the course of the next 5 years. These are the types of gains that are possible. There are no guarantees in the world, but these are the types of gains that are possible when you talk about a company that is so undervalued like a Sirios Resources. If you want to join us in the private placement for Sirios, the deadline to register for our service called Elite Private Placements is this Wednesday, July 23rd. No exceptions can be made. This is available on a first-come, first-served basis, so make sure you get registered as soon as possible, and we will send you a confirmation of your allocation being secured. If you would like to join us in our other service called Precious Metals Intelligence Plus and learn about all the other companies that we are investing in, remember, I showed you these are our results over the course of the last year, a 100% success rate for all the companies that we are investing in, with an average gain of 78% in addition to the extra gain from the warrants of 25%, think about what that would have done to your portfolio. Consider joining us in Precious Metals Intelligence Plus if you would like to learn about all of our picks and you're not yet at the level where you can invest in the private placement. If you'd like to sit down with myself and discuss your situation one-on-one, Christopher Aaron, I will meet with you either in person if you're in my area, or we discuss on the phone or on a Zoom call, and I give you my researched independent perspective on what I would do if I was in your scenario. So, Sirios Resources, the gold is $5 per ounce in the ground. Gold itself looks like it's heading to 4,000 later this year. You do the math and you think about if you want to be one of those people who's trying to change the course of his or her life, or if you're just going to take the slow and boring path of physical gold only.